Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? Coming to you live on Cloud Hub Channel 115. I'm Praying Medic, and this is my evening news update. Got a little bit of information from our military intelligence insider. Got a little bit of news. Actually, a little bit of breaking news. Get to that at the end of the show. So thank you for joining me, and let's get moving along here. We got President Trump is going to be debating tonight with Joe Biden. We're going to talk a little bit about the debates and some Q information. So why don't we get started here? All right. So thank you, by the way, to Larry Vanderschaff for today's intro music. Larry is a friend follower on Twitter, and he sent me that music and said, hey, you can use it on the show if you want. And I'm like, okay, cool. So Q's first post this morning contains a repost of his prediction. This is from the 10th of September, that Joe Biden would use a communication device for the presidential debates. So here on the left, we can see the old post, and it was debates. Biden camp will find an excuse or reason to terminate. Oh, by the way, breaking news. I haven't been able to confirm this, but there are now tweets. People are tweeting out on Twitter that Joe Biden's campaign has requested to appear virtually tonight at the debates rather than in person. I can't confirm that. I just saw it on Twitter as before I went live, and there's a couple of blue checkmark accounts that have tweeted out, but I don't have any confirmation on it. Anyway, we'll see if Joe shows up or not. Q also predicted Biden camp would be provided the questions ahead of time, and that the Biden camp would be provided the questions ahead of time and assistance in the form of special communications device. Right, that was from September 10th. So today, Q posted these pictures of Joe Biden. No earpiece in the ear. Here he clearly has an earpiece. You can see it. And there's a link to a Fox News article. All right. And Q wrote number 3. Q, referring to prediction number 3 about receiving assistance in the form of a special communications device. So here's the Fox News article. The Trump campaign has asked for an extra debate rule. They want a neutral third-party inspector to look for electronic devices in the candidates' ears. And here's the article. And of course, Joe Biden's campaign would not consent, would not agree to those conditions. So we'll see what happens tonight. It should be interesting to see what kind of a deal they make about this earpiece. All right, moving along. Q's next post shows how New Jersey Representative Tom Malinowski sponsored the bill that is currently in the House to condemn QAnon. But he also lobbied against stiffer penalties for sex offenders. And Q wrote, those who scream the loudest. Here's a Washington Free Beacon article from August 6th of 2020. New Jersey Democrat Congressman Tom Malinowski fought against the establishment of a national sex offender registry as a top lobbyist for Human Rights Watch, according to a review of congressional records and lobbying disclosures. So, yeah, why is Malinowski lobbying in favor of laws that would make it easier for sex offenders, and also sponsoring a bill against Q? Go figure. Next post from Q. So Hillary Clinton had her first podcast yesterday, and James Woods, being the guy that he is, we all love to watch on Twitter, was trolling Hillary about her podcast. So Q posted this screenshot of her in this, I don't know where this is, a studio or something. And then there's some images here that are overlaid, clipped in here, and a description. And Q wrote, podcast yesterday, intentional or careless, Q. And he's drawing our attention to this book. And the book is about the artist Lucio Bubico. Now, I looked this guy up. He's an Italian glass artist, and I watched some videos of him. I'm not trying to demonize this guy. He's an artist. He's a glass artist. However, Q is asking if the subject matter of this book was put here intentionally underneath her laptop computer. All right. As a wink. Well, this is the kind of glass art that this artist does. A lot of devilish, demonic figures in glass. And this Anon responded, he thinks it was intentional, 100%. All her peeps are watching, giving a middle finger to the God Wins crowd. And that's possible. I don't know if it was intentional or if it was accidental, but I'm not going to weigh in too much more on that issue. Q posted this image, meme, sunrise, God woke you up for a reason, and the file name is biblical.jpg. All right, next we have a link to a tweet by Chad Pergram. I just took a screenshot of the entire thread from Chad Pergram, and this is information that was declassified by John Ratcliffe, the Director of National Intelligence. He sent a letter to Lindsey Graham, and basically it is about U.S. intelligence that was obtained regarding a Russian intelligence analysis, where the Russians thought that Hillary Clinton in 2016 had approved a campaign plan to stir up a scandal against President Trump. Okay, that's the basic gist of this. And so an Anon, here's a link to the document. And Anon posted a screenshot of the letter from DNI Ratcliffe to Lindsey Graham. And, I'm just going to read it to you. Make it easy. So, Ratcliffe to Lindsey Graham, in response to your request for intelligence community information related to the FBI Crossfire Hurricane investigation, I've declassified the following. So these are 3 things that Ratcliffe declassified. In late July 2016, U.S. intelligence agencies obtained insights into Russian intelligence analysis. Okay, so it's the U.S. intelligence agencies, their assessment of Russian intelligence analysis. So it's who's watching the guy who's watching the guy who's watching me. And this is related to presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. She had approved a campaign plan to stir up a scandal against candidate Trump by tying him to Vladimir Putin and the Russians' hacking of the DNC email server. The intelligence community does not know the accuracy of this allegation or the extent to which a Russian intelligence analysis may reflect exaggerations or fabrication. Now, I'm going to have more on that sentence. As soon as the mainstream media read this sentence, they said, oh, this is Russian disinformation. And all of the mainstream articles now are saying, oh, Ratcliffe declassified a bunch of Russian disinformation. And that's the narrative that's going out now about this story. So we continue. According to his handwritten notes, former CIA Director John Brennan subsequently briefed President Obama and other senior national security officials on the intelligence, including the alleged approval of Hillary Clinton on July 26 of a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. All right. And then this third section here. On September 7th, U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral to FBI Director Comey and Peter Strzok regarding candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering the U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server. All right, so, and then Ratcliffe finishes this with a note that Attorney General Barr advised that disclosure is not going to interfere with ongoing investigations. Additional declassification and public disclosure of related intelligence remains under consideration. So we might get more declass on this. Now, I said that the mainstream media immediately pounced on this and said, oh, this is Russian disinformation. This is nonsense. This is from Kevin Corke, Fox News White House correspondent. He just posted this on Twitter about 30 minutes ago. He said, this is a statement from Ratcliffe. DNI statement. Director of National Intelligence Ratcliffe issued the following statement. To be clear, this is not Russian disinformation and has not been assessed as such by the intelligence community. I'll be briefing Congress on the sensitive sources and methods by which it was obtained in the coming days, Ratcliffe. All right. So, all right, a fun fact for you Anons out there who have been following this James Comey saga. Let me give you a little background information. So when the email, the Department of Justice Inspector General filed their report on the FBI's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. It's always such a wordy sentence. I have to get that out. All right. The IG report on the FBI's handling of Hillary Clinton email investigation. If you go through that report, the original report that was published on the internet when it first came out, if you downloaded the PDF document and if you put it into a program like Adobe Acrobat that reads those documents, you can search the documents for terms. All right. In that document, if you put in the search term Comey, you came up with no results. If you put in the search term corny, you come up with all the instances of James Comey's name. All right. Now, the Department of Justice switched out the original document and they corrected it. And the newer document, if you download it, it doesn't have those search terms. But the original one did. Well, this document that Ratcliffe just declassified, I downloaded the document from the link, all right, right here. I downloaded it and I opened it up with Adobe Acrobat. And sure enough, I searched the document for the name Comey and I got no results. I searched the document for the name Corney, C-O-R-N-E-Y, and sure enough, James Comey's name came up in the search results. So I think patriots are trolling James Corney again. And inside joke for all of us who've been following this saga for the last couple of years. All right, Q then posted a screenshot of an email between Clinton campaign officials, and this was published by WikiLeaks in 2016, where they were discussing the Trump Swift Boat project, and Q wrote Trump Swift Boat project Clinton operation op. All right, so you have to read these emails from the bottom going upward. I know you can't look past Bernie and the March primaries. This email was sent in February. So Jennifer Palmieri is discussing with the team, I know you can't look past Bernie and March primaries, but who is in charge of the Trump Swift Boat project needs to be ready, funded, and unleashed when we decide, but not a half-ass scramble. And then Jennifer replies, gee, Joel, I thought we could half-ass it. Let's discuss. So the Swift Boat project, New York Post, actually several news outlets had articles on that at the time. This is one of them where Joel Johnson, he was a Joel that was referred to in this email, and Jennifer Palmieri, as well as John Podesta, were assembling a group of people to destroy Trump and his campaign. And they were basically talking about putting together an operation to discredit and smear Trump. All right. Well, when we got this information in 2016, we didn't know what it was about, and now we do know what it was about. We have actual documentation from Director of National Intelligence. All right. That gets us caught up to Q, but I've got a little bit more news here. So, Senators Joe Manchin and John Cornyn sponsored a Senate bill, and it was introduced today in the Senate, that would remove Section 230 protections for social media platforms that don't report illegal online drug activity. And this is kind of specific to a crackdown on online drug dealing. All right. So the bill seeks to remove legal immunity for social media platforms that they have enjoyed ever since they've been in service, basically. And what the current Section 230 law does is it protects Google, Facebook, YouTube, and online platforms from legal liability irrespective of whether they remove or leave suspicious content on their platform. They can't be sued for it. They're not legally liable. Well, this bill would change that. It would make them legally liable for damages if they did not remove information or posts that have to do with illegal activities. So whether it's illegal sales of drugs or illegal weapons sales or pedophilia, if the social media platforms did knowingly allow this content to stay on the platform and did not remove it, they would become legally liable. Manchin said he's accusing social media companies of turning a blind eye to the problem of online drug dealing. All right. So how does this help us? Well, this helps us a lot, actually. This is the first step. If you introduce legislation that takes away some of the protections of Section 230 for online social media platforms, it forces them to become accountable for what they take down and what they leave up. Number one, it makes them much more liable if they leave up anything that leads to illicit criminal activity. Then that opens a door for other changes where we could now talk about censorship. So if they leave up or if they delete certain posts that infringe on people's First Amendment rights, right now we're getting into the issue that a lot of us are more concerned about. Although online drug activity and illegal activity should be a concern for everyone. But once this door is open and it exposes social media platforms to legal liability, they have to then sort of act a little bit more responsible, and they have to either say, look, we're a public square and we're not an editor and we're not responsible for the posts on our platforms, or else they become an editor and a publisher and they are responsible for everything on the platform. Pretty soon they're going to get to a point where they're going to have to make a decision whether they're going to be responsible and publishers and editors or not. Now, what's interesting here is that there are a number of other members of Congress who are introducing similar legislation. Other proposals targeting Section 230 are working their way through the political process, including ones from Josh Hawley, Roger Wicker, and Lindsey Graham, and Democrat Senators Brian Shantz and Republican Senator John Thune. So a number of other people are working on legislation that would target Section 230 protections for social media. So in my broadcast yesterday, I was saying I'm not willing to go on YouTube and put my Q videos on there until they change Section 230 legislation, and they allow people to hold these platforms accountable for their censorship. And it looks like that is actually starting to happen. So we'll have to watch and see where this all goes. I think it's a good omen. All right. Other news. So the Daily Mail is reporting that Brad Parscale, who was President Trump's campaign manager, is now under investigation for stealing as much as $40 million from the 2016 Trump campaign and $10 million from the RNC. They are citing this information on an anonymous Trump insider, is what they're saying, who talked to them and said that, there's actually an investigation going on, that Parscale's depression and erratic behavior recently and his hospitalization is all due to the stress of a high roller lifestyle where he was spending a lot of money. Now, I can't confirm any of this independently, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be shocked at this, but this is what is being reported. So take it for what it's worth, and if you want to invoke the 48-hour rule and just wait and see what happens, that's fine. In today's hearing, Judge Sullivan refused to dismiss the case against General Flynn. So a lot of people were listening to that hearing this morning. It was quite frustrating to listen to it. It seemed like a massive waste of time and a lot of excuse making on the part of the people who are still trying to get this case moved forward so they can sentence General Flynn. Sidney Powell, I think, did a really good job of defending General Flynn. Here's a link to a Fox News article, and it just has some information. Gleason is the judge who actually filed the amicus brief, saying that not only does Sullivan have the authority to reject the DOJ's request to drop the case, but he should do it. Gleason argued pretty extensively today that Sullivan should not drop the case. Sidney Powell basically accused Judge Sullivan of being biased and said he should recuse himself. And, well, Judge Sullivan responded and said, if you want me to recuse myself, file a motion. She's actually going to do that, I think. So, I mean, this is just kind of a travesty of justice, and it's unfortunate. They're trying to drag this out because they do not want General Flynn to be able to help President Trump. They want to keep him off the board. They want to keep him marginalized, and they want to keep him quiet. So they're going to drag this out as long as they can. Kevin Corke just tweeted this out before we went live. Sullivan is asking parties to submit briefs by October 7th, so that gives us about another week, indicating he will likely not rule on the Flynn case until some time after that date. Maybe will Sidney Powell file a motion to have Sullivan recuse himself? I don't know. Maybe she will. I don't think it's going to make any difference. I don't think Sullivan is going to recuse himself. I think he's on this case. He is there for a specific purpose to drag this thing out as long as he possibly can. And that gets us caught up on Q and the news for today. Thank you for joining me. I am here every weekday, 7 p.m. Eastern, on CloutHub channel 115, giving you news, giving you Q updates, and hopefully giving you an optimistic look on life. It's my pleasure to provide this service to you all. I love doing it. I would do it for, I used to do it before Q came along. This is what I did. In my evenings, I do news and current events updates. And I learned a long time ago that people just benefit from it. So it's my pleasure to do it. That's all we have. I'm going to let you go. Watch the debates tonight. And I will probably be somewhere around social media commenting on the debates. I think Trump is going to do really well tonight. President goes up against these members of the media every day with attacking questions, and he's ready for this. It'll be interesting to see how Joe Biden does. All right, cool. I'm going to get out of here. Catch me tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern.